Hello, folks. It is storming outside, and I'm pretty well waiting for the power to go out. It keeps flickering. And I just want to talk about something because I think it can help other people. Last week, I got my papers for my autism diagnosis, and it took several years, several thousands of dollars, and it took a toll on probably my parents and myself. So I started trying to get my diagnosis at age 16 or about there, and I didn't get diagnosed until April 14th, 2022. I was 23. That's when I got tested. It took 3 hours. We had to drive to Summerside. But just to find this doctor was really difficult because when you're over 18, you then have to pay. It's like $4,000, and well, they changed the price. It's now more than $4,000 since I got tested. And he does not come to Charlottetown. You have to go to Summerside. He takes breaks and he's gone a lot to go to other places in other provinces. And I didn't get my papers until the middle of January 2023. I think had I been born probably 5 years later than I would have been diagnosed as a child. I think my parents tried to find out what was wrong with me because I talked to my parents perfectly, and I was talking probably earlier than normal kids would be, but just to my parents and maybe 2 or 3 of my grandparents, but not all of them. And then I didn't talk to anybody else until I was probably in grade 2. I was pretty well mute and very quiet and shy. And my mother wanted me to be socialized, and she wanted me to talk to people. So she'd take me to play groups and to church groups and Sunday school and play dates and stuff. And I would not, she'd say, go play, and I wouldn't go. I'd either sit with her or I'd go play, but I'd be away from the other kids playing just by myself. And I was always by myself. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I didn't even seem to really want any. And even as an adult, most of my friends are in their 60s. I get along a lot better with people in their 60s than I do my 23-year-olds. And then I got diagnosed as being deaf because the doctor said I didn't interact. He didn't feel like I interacted with him normally, so I got sent to get my hearing tested multiple times, and I'm not deaf. I have better hearing than most of my family members because I notice things. And we had a doctor say, well, she can't be autistic because she's a girl. She can't be autistic because she makes eye contact, and she can't be autistic because she speaks sometimes. So that was just a horrible pain. That wouldn't happen nowadays, but that happened in the late 90s and early 2000s. And then I had a kind of a rough childhood because my parents didn't know what to do with me or what was wrong. I'd listen to the same CD. Well, it was a cassette tape, and I listened to the same cassette tape over and over and over again, constantly for like 15 years straight. And I didn't sleep. Like, I didn't seem to need sleep. And I guess there's several other weird little things about me that would point to autistic now. Fidgeting and stuff, and rocking. I still do that as an adult, but not as much. And school was just horrible. I don't have very good memories of school. The other kids would bully me a lot. Like my cousins and sister would too. Even the teachers kind of would too. And then they wouldn't put me in academic, so I got put in like a lower level class, even though I could do academic, and they would not put me in academic at all ever. I could do academic, probably English and social studies, and definitely history. I could not do academic math, I don't think, but they wouldn't put me in academic anything, and that caused a lot of problems because I was bored, and I wouldn't really act off, I don't think, but I would get up and leave, and I'd be found wandering in the hallway or the library or even outside or in some other classroom I'm not even supposed to be in. So I got in trouble a lot for that. And I used to like get detention for basically not being where I'm supposed to be. But as an adult, I've now taken college and I've gotten along fine, more than fine, so I could have done academic. I don't know why it's so hard for people to get diagnosed with autism, because there's going to be a lot of people going around that aren't going to know what's wrong with them. Well, not wrong with them, but what's different about them. Because I always wondered what was different about me, why was I not like the other kids, and that's kind of a horrible thing to go through. Just because you think something's wrong with you and you don't realize that you're autistic, and your brain just works a bit differently. And I feel bad that there's not more access to that, because as soon as you're 18, it's so hard to get diagnosed. The waiting lists are horrendously long. There's no doctors to diagnose you, and it's expensive. And you have to travel most of the time. If I didn't go to Summerside, I'd have to go to a different province. Then when I got the paperwork, it was very long, so I had to read through it. I still have to talk to the doctor one more time. But most of it was based on my personality and then family history and stuff. It's very long and very overwhelming. I think I cried when I read it. My diagnosis was autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, the kind where you're inattentive, not the kind where you're hyperactive. I'm not hyperactive as much. I'm very inattentive. And then I had several learning disabilities, especially with math. And then I had anxiety and depression, which probably comes from the autism, I'd say. So that was it was good to finally know what was going on and what I'm dealing with, because then I could take steps to make my life better and to deal with the issues that I had. And then my family then knew what they were dealing with. And then I could get supports for when I went to college. I guess that's pretty well it. If you're looking for a diagnosis, hang in there and keep working to get it, because it is worth it. I can't even tell you how worth it is. It's worth the money. It's worth the wait, just to know what is going on and know why you're different, because it's an explanation, and I think that's what I needed. I needed the explanation, and I also needed proof, because nobody really believed that I was autistic. They thought I was just weird or creepy or childish, or they used to say I was an old soul, and they think that you're kind of mentally ill. So this was the explanation that I needed, and the proof that I needed that there's nothing wrong with me. I was just a little bit thought different. So I hope that if you're looking for a diagnosis that you get it, and I wish you luck with that.